Welcome to episode 18 of COVID Comms. Last episode, we spoke about how mental models and frameworks provided the structure that allowed military leaders to be more intentional and effective in dynamic environments. This episode, I want to share with you one of those mental models, the OODA loop. The OODA loop was designed by US Air Force Colonel John Boyd. A veteran of the Korean War, Boyd was particularly interested in effective decision-making in the midst of uncertainty. Now, this was very relevant to him in his line of work, which was air-to-air combat and dogfights. So he started out originally to understand why some F-16 pilots performed better than others. And he created this mental model that described what happened naturally within seconds so that pilots could use that same process with more intentionality within the same time frame. The model consists of 4 components: observe, orient, decide, and act, forming the acronym OODA. And it's referred to as a loop because it's an ongoing and repeating process. The model was designed to be simple, quick, and intuitive, and therefore it doesn't take a whole lot of explanation to understand it enough to apply it right away and begin to improve your decision making immediately. By simply reading through the questions that one might ask as they go through each stage, you get a picture of how it might be applied in your workplace. So the first stage is to observe. This is where we ask, where are we at? What's changed? What's the problem that exists? And what data do I have? The next stage being orient. This is where we orient to the situation. This is where we look at what data we have and what does this data mean? Is it the most important data to look at? What's my understanding of the situation and what are my priorities? And importantly, what are my biases and how are these influencing my interpretation of the situation? Decide. What is the best course of action? What will I do? How will I know I've succeeded? How will I evaluate and monitor my performance? Finally, act. Execute, execute, execute. This is where we carry out what we've decided. Like any feedback-based model, the OODA loop is a continually repeating process. So once you've acted, then start observing again. Notice what has changed and then reorient to the new situation. Given the changes, what does that mean for me? What are the new decisions you have to make, and then act on those, and the process keeps going. It's this continual reassessing and readjusting that allows military leaders to remain responsive on the battlefield and to make confident decisions despite limited information in the midst of uncertainty and change. So how does all this play out for us right now? So observe. Government restrictions are now imposed. Physical distancing is in play. Our customers may have lost their income and clients may have put projects on hold. Orient to the situation. What does this mean for me as a business? What does this mean for our customers? What does this mean for my pipeline? And then make the decision, okay? What's going to be the best course of action? What are we going to do? Are we going to continue to deliver services, or are we going to shift those services and deliver them online? Are we going to reduce the number of hours that our staff work, or are we going to reduce the number of staff that we employ? And then act on whatever you have decided and start the whole process again. Last week, I was coaching one of my clients who was telling me that his assessment of workflow and priorities, which would normally be done once a week, now had to be done several times a day due to the pace of government announcements coming out and client requirements changing and internal responses being made. All of this affected his work, but the OODA loop model allowed him to be more intentional, effective, and efficient at making these assessments. And it can for you as well. I encourage you to try using it this week, and if you do, let me know how you go. I'd love to hear. Hey, if you found this video valuable, please share it amongst your network so we can help as many people as possible navigate, survive, and thrive throughout this time. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be discussing another mental model that will allow you to be more intentional and productive in your work as well. Until then, lead well.